Hey, what's up? Hello, my name is Emma and today I am doing a reading vlog for Chain of Iron by Cassandra Clare, the second book in the Last Hour series and my most anticipated book to read in 2021. I, of course, have been dying to read Chain of Iron since Chain of Gold came out last year, so thank you so much to Simon & Schuster who sent me an early copy so I can get to read it even before release date. I do have a reading vlog for Chain of Gold if you are interested in checking out my thoughts on the first installment of this series and like getting all catched up to read Chain of Iron. Actually, I should maybe rewatch that too. So, okay, I technically did already start Chain of Iron, but I'm only like 9 pages into it. I'm 10 pages into it. I just read the prologue, so there's nothing to comment about, but I'm about to like get ready for bed and just read for the rest of the night, which I'm super looking forward to. I am all decked out in Last Hour's gear to get ready for this installment. The first thing I have is my amazing book sleeve that I got from Fairy Loot's Chain of Gold box last year. So it has a portrait of James Herondale on one side, and on the other it has the beautiful gates of Kensington Palace, along with a quote from the book, which is, "Did you expect fear? Then you do not know my father, you do not know my mother, you do not know my family or me." And then I also have this amazing wooden bookmark, I think that also came from that Fairy Loot box, which has this beautiful portrait of Cordelia on the front, and on the back it says, "People are only invincible in books." And then I have a couple of other items that I really wanted to share in this vlog. They were sent to me by the publisher for the release. So the first thing that came in my box with my copy of Chain of Iron are these amazing paper dolls of James and Cordelia, and so you can like cut out their different outfits and make them, and they look really cool. And then the other thing in that box that I would really like to at least attempt in this vlog is an embroidery kit, so I can make a little embroidery that says "All the stories are true" with a little rune in it. I have never embroidered before, but we are going to give it an attempt for the release of this book. And so the last thing I have before diving into reading was sent to me because I am having an absolutely amazing tea party with none other than Cassandra Clare herself, along with Hannah from A Clockwork Reader and Jenny from This Story Ain't Over. So that's going to be on release day, which will likely be before this vlog is posted, so I'll link that below if you want to watch the live show after it was live. So because we are having a tea party, they sent me an absolutely amazing teacup that has this gold and blue detailing on it, and on the inside it says, "You never forget your first betrayal," and along with it this gorgeous saucer that has the same detailing on it and has the moths on it, which you can see all over the cover of Chain of Iron. So I am super excited to sip some tea while Cassie spills some tea on the Last Hours, and it's just going to be an amazing event. And the other exciting Chain of Iron thing I am doing, also potentially before this vlog goes live, is I am moderating a freaking virtual Cassandra Clare signing with Barnes & Noble. Oh my gosh, like all I have wanted since like I started my YouTube channel and started meeting Cassie was to moderate one of her book events, and it is finally coming true. The last thing I want to mention is, as per your request, this is going to be a spoiler-filled vlog. So if you have not read Chain of Iron yet, I highly recommend going to read it, getting caught up on the story if you don't want to be spoiled, and then coming back because I do want to discuss it with you guys. So now I'm going to like take off my makeup, get all ready for bed, and just cozy up and read The Last Hours for the rest of my night. So it's pretty late, so I'm gonna sign off for tonight with my reading, but I got up to page 58 on Chain of Iron, which I am very pleased by. Something I love about Cassie's books is she is so good about including reminders about what happened in the previous book without like info dumping and dedicating a lot of time for recaps. Now I just love the characters so much. We've already gotten a couple of great scenes of the merry thieves together, which is just one of my favorite like male relationships like in all of literature, and I really love the dynamic between Lucy, Cordelia, and Anna as well. Just crossing my fingers for more Anna Lightwood content. Something I did find out in the first couple of pages though is that apparently Anna Lightwood went off with Lily, our homegirl Lily the vampire. So I'm thinking that they did some things, you know, Also with Cassie Clare books, I have just learned to not trust anything she says and take everything as foreshadowing. So like a fairy says that Wayland the Smith, who is like the person that made Cortana and Clary and Sebastian swords from the Mortal Instruments. So he's like a really famous like smith and swordsmaker and whatnot, and the fairy says that he is still alive somewhere, so I am very much expecting there to be some sort of plotline related to Wayland the Smith, of course, because this whole series has a really huge focus on Cortana the sword. And also Matthew makes a comment which is followed up by like, they never fought, especially not Matthew and James, so I'm totally expecting there to be some conflict between Matthew and James off of this one singular line, because that's what Cassie Clare does. And so I finished right before starting chapter 3, and we got a really lovely flashback of like Grace's childhood. I feel like that's something pretty new in the Last Hour series, doing like bigger flashbacks dedicated to certain characters. And it was just a really sweet little passage about sort of explaining why Jessie is so important to Grace, and I feel like it gives a lot of context for her relationship with him and a lot of her motivations. Oh, and also like what I have read is the night before Cordelia and James's wedding, and so because this is happening so early on in the book, I am fully expecting some shit to go wrong, and like it's not gonna be the actual wedding. Either like they're gonna have like a demon or creature attack, or someone is going to come in and like interrupt the wedding with a big plot twist with information, or else like I know a lot of Chain of Iron has to do with like a killer that is going around through London that is targeting shadow hunters, so possibly that's where that plot line is going to be introduced. I'm just confident that James and Cordelia are not going to be officially married by the end of my reading tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes. Hello, so I have had a pretty chill morning so far. I went to the gym, I went food shopping with my mom, and then I went to pick up some bagels for the week. And the guy who was servicing me actually gave me a bunch of pink bagels for free, which was really nice and very exciting. But I also got a bagel to eat for lunch, so I'm going to eat my lunch and catch up on some more Chain of Iron. Also, fair warning, I will likely call Chain of Iron Chain of Gold a zillion times in this video. You don't have to correct me. I know what book I'm reading. It's like a half roll credits. Not a full roll credits, just half. I have to interrupt because Jem is playing the violin at James and Cordelia's wedding! Okay. So I just finished reading the wedding scene, which did not go as planned. Like, Cordelia and James are married, and I totally thought that there was going to be like a demon or like someone from the Enclave saying that they had really important news or whatever. Actually, the only issue that arose is that Cordelia's father, Elias, got drunk again and like made a whole scene. So it was like a very like human twist, which was interesting in such a fantasy book. So it's 2 o'clock now, and I told myself that at 2 o'clock I would start my schoolwork and internship work that I need to do today. But I think I'm gonna treat myself to just one more chapter. So tonight is a really fun night because I'm about to have a Zoom murder mystery party with my friends. Everyone was given a role, and I was given the heiress, so I have lots of gold and makeup and this really pretty green dress, so I'm really excited to dive in. Happy murder mystery night, everyone. Yay. We have all received an invitation to Midnight Manor, and how many of us? 3 of us are the murderers?
No, 3 of us are gonna die.
3 of us are gonna die, and we have 1 murderer. Oh no! I can't breathe! I think I've been poisoned! Oh no! I'm too young and pretty to die! so I have not vlogged since last night's murder mystery party, which was so much fun. I was the first to die, unfortunately, but I got to play as a ghost for the rest of the game, so I was still totally involved. And I also won Best Death as voted on by my friends, which was very exciting. As you can see, I really went for the drama. And Zoe from Read by Zoe was the murderer, which we all guessed, and it was just a really fun night. I didn't sign off until like after midnight, so I didn't read last night, and today I have done like nothing except for doing homework. So because I've pretty much been doing work for like at least 8 hours nonstop today, I am signing off for the night. I have done well, and I am just going to relax and read and treat myself. My body is kind of sore from going to the gym for the first time in a while yesterday, so I think I'm going to treat myself to a bath and then just cozy up in bed and hopefully get to sleep at like a reasonable time tonight. Okay, so it is late and I really want to go to sleep, but I realized I don't think I've given you like an actual reading update in like 100 pages, so it's time for me to do that. Okay, so I am now on page 210 and I'm on chapter 10. What I wanted to talk about first was just how sweet it is, how much thought James has put into his house with Cordelia. Like, there are things that represent her Persian heritage, and he remembered that she likes to play chess, so now they play chess games every night, and it's just very sweet and romantic. It does make me a little sad though, because to my understanding the plan is that when they divorce after a year, this becomes Cordelia's house, and I feel like that's very clear in James's planning because the entire house is decorated to Cordelia's taste, and James really only has like his own room to himself. But it's just been so sweet reading about their first few weeks and months being married to one another, even though it isn't the most ideal situation for either of them, because obviously James wants to be with Grace and Cordelia does want to be with James, but he wants James to love her back. Also, the tension between them is so good. I am just like dying for their chemistry to all build up and for them to like truly make out and want to be with each other again, but it is all very subtle and controlled, and I am just patiently awaiting. Okay, so there is a scene between Anna and Ariadne, and I am just so starved for Anna Lightwood content. I don't understand why she doesn't have more page time. So of course, Anna was really hurt by Ariadne. I think it was in her novella in Ghost of the Shadow Market. So I don't like expect Anna to just forgive and forget, like her hurt is valid. But Ariadne is like really trying to reach out to Anna and like keeps coming up to her at parties. And so at the most recent like engagement party that they're at, she goes up to Anna, and so they go into a pantry together. And Anna is the one who kisses Ariadne first. And then at the end of the scene, she's like, oh, if that's all you wanted, we could have done that a long time ago, and just like leaves. And like, I understand that Anna does have feelings for Ariadne, but she doesn't want to get hurt again. But like, you are the one that kissed her first. You are the one that shoved your fingers under her petticoats. You are the one that took all the actions to make her come. And then you're just gonna leave and act like that's what she wanted when she has been the one to make so many efforts to reach out to you. Again, very complicated. So I just wasn't as happy with that scene. I just want everyone to be happy and in love, and that's just impossible in a Cassie Clare book. I was also kind of sad when Lucy like outright tells Jesse that she loves him, and he is just like, no, I can't do this. This can't be. But a couple chapters later, he said that he loved her back, and they danced together in the snow, and it was wonderful and beautiful. And I know they end up together, but I just want it to happen already. Oh, so I wanted to talk about this killer that is like a big plot line in this book. My guess is that it's Belial like possessing a mundane to kill shadow hunters, but I feel like that is the obvious answer, so I'm kind of hoping I'm wrong. Oh, also about the killer. So James apparently has been having like nightmares, like vision type things, and he basically like saw the most recent murder happen. And I feel like I was just instantly transported back into Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix when Harry is viewing the attacks from Nagini's point of view. Where is it? It was so funny. Especially this line that's like, I felt such hate. Hate like I've only felt before in Belial's realm. It did not seem like a human hate. And I'm just getting flashbacks to Harry wanting to fight Voldemort.
Look at me!
Some very clear influences here. Also, we have this new character named Philomena, I believe, and she is from like one of the institutes in Italy. And I don't really understand her role yet. Like, I think she's just visiting or something, but of course, like when we introduce a new character, she's going to play a role later. So I'm very curious to know what that's gonna be. Also, really interesting scene. It has been well known in Shadowhunter lore that the reason Shadowhunters don't use guns is because they need runes to kill demons, and the runes like stop the gunpowder in guns from working. So Christopher, our little inventor, has been trying to resolve that, and it doesn't work, but when James picks up the gun and shoots it, it does actually work. So it seems like the current theory is that because James has demon blood, it does something to let the runes and the gunpowder work together so that it can ignite. So I'm interested to see like where this goes, but also we don't have guns in any of the Shadowhunter books that take place in the more modern world. So I'm assuming it like doesn't become a widespread thing. And the last thing is, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the prologue is like Grace and Lucy are attempting to bring Jesse back from the dead, which like apparently that's like a big trend in Cassie's books now, is attempting to bring people back from the dead. But anyways, when Lucy and Jesse are dancing together outside, he feels the cold for the first time, and Jesse like cannot sense anything in the human world. So it's making me think that possibly what they are doing is starting to work. And so some people might consider this a spoiler, so if you're like really avoiding anything potentially spoilery, maybe skip until the next scene. But if you look at like, I think the Herondale family tree, which has been on the internet since well before The Last Hours was published, like Lucy and Jesse do end up together. Like, I don't consider that a spoiler because I've known it's gonna happen before I really met the characters. So clearly Jesse does have to come back to life somehow. Like, I'm pretty sure they have children, and he like can't be a ghost and have children, otherwise those would be some weird babies. I'm not sure if I'm confident that it'll work in Chain of Iron. I think it's possible, but it also seems like something Cassie would leave to happen in like the beginning of the final book. The only thing that's like not my favorite about recent Cassie Clare books is just like how long it takes to get into the plot, especially with The Last Hours, because we have so many characters. Like the first 100 pages you can always guarantee is just like a lot of setup and exposition, and I don't care because it's Cassie Clare and like I would read her grocery lists with pleasure, but I am a plot-based reader at heart, so sometimes I am like, okay, like let's hurry up the pace a little bit. But Chain of Iron is just wonderful so far. I feel like The Last Hours are a really easy read for me just because the characters are like so lovable and they are really what carries the story. So I'm going to go to bed, have a busy day of clients at my internship, and then I have class in the evening, so I'm not sure how much reading I'm gonna get done tomorrow, but I'm on a good roll and I would like to continue. Good afternoon, it is Monday, and I have had a really nice day so far. I got up on time, got all ready, and I've had 3 sessions with clients today and they all went really well. I just made some vegan chicken nuggets and some sweet potato fries, which I love, so I'm going to try and read just like the tiniest bit more of Chain of Gold. And also, my mom brought home Girl Scout cookies, so I'm so excited to devour these in class later. So remember how last night I said that like I didn't know much about Philomena and thought that she was going to play a bigger role as the story went on? Well, apparently not, because she just died. Hello, happy Tuesday. So I actually did not get any reading done after class last night like expected. I was just really tired and needed to decompress. Today I've had a pretty busy morning, but it's been good and productive. I caught up on a bunch of client notes, and I have like 40 minutes for lunch before I start my day, and I am booked from like 2:30 to 7:30 straight, so I'm glad that I have some extra time to read today. I'm now on page like 224 of Chain of Iron, I think. Still loving it, having a grand old time. So I'm gonna eat my sandwich, do some reading, and then I'll hopefully check in later today after all of my sessions are done. Happy Wednesday. I have not been vlogging much because I haven't read much. Didn't get around to reading after sessions yesterday because I ended up studying with my friends, and this morning I have just been working, doing clients, had my staff meeting and all of that, and now I have school. I did get some really wonderful feedback from our clinic director, who's like my boss of the internship, and she's like really pleased with my work and I love it there. So it made me feel really good today. So like I said, I'm getting ready to head into class, and tonight I definitely want to make more progress on Chain of Iron. But I also decided to stop and get some frozen yogurt with emmmabooks today because I've been craving frozen yogurt so frequently, but I always crave it at like 10 p.m. when no place is open. Also, is anyone a stirrer like me? Like when I get like ice cream or something with lots of toppings, I like need to stir it in order to eat it. Hi, so I have not been prioritizing reading a lot over the last couple of days. I've probably read like a chapter since I last gave you like an actual reading update. I'm either working or too tired to do anything else. So it's like 11:30 right now, and I don't have my first client of the day until 1. So I'm making a goal for myself to read for about like 45 minutes to an hour, and then I still have time to get ready. I also just want to go over a couple of things that I have read that I want to discuss. So our whole gang just followed Lucy's tip from another ghost to find Philomena's ghost, and she really did not provide them with much. So I'm still very interested to understand like the point of her character. So they went to see Philomena, and the only like notable thing I feel that happened was that Cortana burned Cordelia when she tried to use it. So I'm interested to know what that is about, kind of giving me some flashbacks to when Emma got burned by Cortana, so I wonder if that's like an intentional connection. Christopher says something along the lines of, there are stories of necromancers who have traveled in dreams, even killed and collected death energy in dreams. So I'm assuming this has something to do with the dreams that James is having while he's able to like watch the murders. I still think it's Belial because I don't have any idea who else it could be. We also got another flashback from Grace, and I don't know if this is right, but I feel like we had flashbacks from other characters in Chain of Gold, but in Chain of Iron all the flashbacks so far have been about Grace. It's definitely making me empathize with her character a little bit more to understand like why she is the way that she is. We found out that Tatiana Blackthorn basically brought in some type of like magical being who gave Grace this power to have control over men, so it's not something she was born with. And something that came to mind for me that I don't know if it's been discussed in Chain of Gold so far is it's making me wonder if Grace is actually making James love her and like it's not true love, and that's sort of how it's going to be like resolved in the end, because obviously James is gonna end up with Cordelia, like that's clear to me. There was also an interesting line from Tatiana to Grace that says, "You are your mother's blade, cutting these arrogant boys down to size," and that kind of reminded me of how in City of Ashes everyone starts referring to Jace as like Valentine's arrow. So Jace is Valentine's arrow and Grace is Tatiana's blade. Also, James was able to use the gun that Christopher created, so I guess because James is the only one, that really makes sense as to why like guns do not become a Shadowhunter weapon from this point on. So yeah, been a couple days since I really read much of anything, but I'm feeling good and ready to dive in. Whoa. Okay, so apparently the next person to die from this killer is Cordelia's father. Okay, he is a pretty like disposable character. Like it makes sense that he would die, but whoa, unexpected. Oh my god, Cordelia's gonna be so heartbroken. Oh, look at that. Who called it? Who fucking called it? Tatiana's asking Grace to put James under her spell. Okay, actually, it seems like Grace's power isn't working on James because she can't get him to do things that he wouldn't ordinarily do. So maybe I'm wrong, but we're gonna keep reading. Hello, it is Friday, my day off, and I've been having a pretty chill, slow day. I just sat on my phone in bed until like 11 a.m., which I hate doing, but every morning during the week I get up pretty early to start my day, so I figured, like, let me be kind to myself and just like take it slow. I ran a couple of errands this morning, had some lunch, and I have been reading Chain of Iron, catching up on some of the things that I missed this week. I am on page 371 now, about to start chapter... Ooh, about to start part 2. So I want to go back to this idea that James's love for Grace is entirely based on the abilities that she has, and like I said before, it wasn't initially working on James, but that was a long time ago, and there have been multiple moments, like when he kisses Grace, that make it seem like there is like an additional thing going on inside of him that is making him love her instead of like his actual feelings. And it's making me wonder if it's the bracelet, if the bracelet that James wears like has some effect that makes her powers now work on him. I also just read the super hot makeout scene between James and Cordelia, and it seems that James has come to like recognize that he really does love Cordelia. So I'm just hoping that like they can admit it by the end of this book, and I'm sure that there's going to be more conflict with Grace later, but I just want them to be happy together, and I just think they're such a good pair, so I'm looking forward to more Giordano content. We met Wayland the Smith, which I thought was really cool, a character from early on in the Shadowhunter books that like we never expected to meet. He's apparently like some kind of god and lives forever, so that was really cool. So we finally get insight into Matthew's past and sort of why he is the way he is in the Last Hour series, because the story of him giving Charlotte the truth potion that makes her lose the baby is only in Ghost of the Shadow Market, and I think this is the first time it was actually explored in the main series, and Matthew told Cordelia, and it was just a really sweet scene between them. I find it interesting that the way that Malcolm finds out about what happened to Annabelle is Grace in the Last Hours. Like, that's also something I wasn't expecting us to see if you've read the Dark Artifices, so that was cool. I am interested to find out what's gonna happen now that Cordelia has like sworn loyalty to Wayland the Smith. I'm not sure what that fully means yet, but I'm intrigued. With Chain of Iron, I am having like a few mixed feelings. I feel like the pacing is exceptionally slow in this book. This is another one that is like very densely character based, and I just feel like there hasn't been a ton of plot, which is like not my favorite. And also, I kind of wish we were getting more from some of the side characters. Like Chain of Iron is very heavily focused on James, Cordelia, Lucy and Jesse, and Grace. And I would like to see a little bit more from like Matthew and Christopher and Thomas, and especially Anna. But yeah, those are really like my only critiques as of now. So I'm going to give a little bit more reading today before I try and dive into some work. But I'm more than halfway done now, and Chain of Iron comes out in like just a couple of days. What the hell? Also, I didn't mention this because I didn't think it was significant, but Thomas has been out patrolling on his own, and he just left Anna to go patrol alone again. And I was like, oh my god, like, what if he's attacked next? And so I open the next page, which is the perspective of the killer, and I haven't read it yet, but I see that Thomas Lightwood's name is at the bottom. My wandering eyes always betraying me. Okay, actually it was Lillian Highsmith who dies, but Thomas is discovered next to the body, so now they think that Thomas is the murderer. A twist I was not expecting. But so Thomas asks Lillian as she's dying who killed her, and she goes, he did. First of all, just say the name, like why are we being so obscure? But she says that the person who killed her was dead and he saw the man's wife crying. So I'm wondering now if the killer is able to assume the form of the person that died before. And so that's why Elias would have recognized his killer. So just some more theories I'm throwing out here. It's the parabatai line that is in every Cassie Clare series. If you're not familiar, in every Cassie Clare series, one person always calls out for their parabatai and says it in this exact format. And I love seeing that little connection between all the series. So on my errands today, I decided to pick up a couple of skincare products because though like I cleanse and moisturize my face every day, like there's so many like other steps to a skincare routine. So I bought a couple with the advice of someone who worked at Sephora. So we're gonna try them out for the first time. So twice a day I wash my face with Panoxyl, which was recommended to me by my dermatologist many years ago, and it's by far my favorite cleanser, and it's only like $10 at CVS. Then I'm going to be using this Ren toner, which I picked up today. I only just recently started using toner, but I really like it, so I figured this would be a nice one to try. And then the salesperson really sold me on the Sephora line of skincare products because they weren't all that expensive and apparently are really good for beginners. So I picked up this vitamin C and E serum. I also picked up the Sephora eye cream. And then my favorite moisturizer to use is the Tony Moly Chalk Chalk Green Tea Watery Cream. So let's go give them all a try. So I don't think any of those things like work immediately, but just using them, my skin feels so nice. So I feel like I made a really good decision upgrading my skincare routine. And because I decided to really give myself like a complete off day where like I didn't have to do any work, I thought tonight would be a great opportunity for me to start the Chain of Iron embroidery kit that I got from the publisher. Like I said, I've never embroidered anything before. This is my very first time. So I did the A off camera just to see like if I was capable of it, and I've been enjoying it so far. So we're gonna try and make some progress on it tonight. This is my progress on my embroidery so far. I'm really pleased with it for my first attempt. The rune is a little bit messier than the letters, and I definitely have to figure out how to fill it in next time I pick this up. But it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to finish it. So I make this absolutely delicious snickerdoodle mug cake, and I actually added some chocolate chips in today. So I am very excited to eat it and read Chain of Gold. Chain of Iron. Oh, was that the first time I've done that in this vlog?
You try and read just like the tiniest bit more of Chain of Gold.
Hello and happy Chain of Iron release day. It is March 2nd. Chain of Iron is out in the world. I actually went to Target this morning because I realized I didn't pre-order the book. I do this all the time where I pre-order like all of the special editions of Cassie's books that I want, but I just never end up pre-ordering the normal US version. And they didn't have any out at Target, and I would have needed to wait like 2 hours and come back, and I'll just get it another time. But I am getting ready for my tea party with A Clockwork Reader and The Story Ain't Over and Cassie herself. So I am just so excited. We're gonna drink some tea and talk about the last hours, and it's gonna be a really fun event. So if you wanna check it out after watching this vlog, I'll link it below. We all got dressed up in Edwardian London fashion, so I figured I would show you my outfit. Firstly, I did this cute little braided side bun with some curls in the front, and I also added this pearl clip to keep my bangs in place and some fake flowers in the braids. And this is my outfit, so I'm just wearing this plain white turtleneck with this super flowy white dress over it. If you recognize it, I wore it for my Dressing Like YA Characters for a Week video, and this is probably one of the only other times I've had the opportunity to wear it. I also threw on my Isabel Lightwood necklace for Anna Lightwood and this pearl necklace, so I think it's gonna be a really fun event, and I'm so excited. I am here with Hannah and Jenny, and we are waiting for Cassie to start the Chain of Iron Victorian Tea Party. I have my whole big tea set up next to me, and we're just gonna drink lots of tea and talk about Chain of Iron.
Whose name does Will call out when he purges himself of vampire blood in Clockwork Angel?
Jeb. Oh, the Jeb.
It's not
Is
Tim.
it-
I also thought it was Tim.
Is his,
Okay.
It's his sister, right?
Hannah, you got it
It's
for
Cecily,
sure.
right?
Oh.
Yeah.
The one chapter I have absolutely memorized is that chapter. I have that chapter memorized by heart.
I totally also thought it was Jem. And they
Yeah.
were, no.
Yeah, I feel like that's the
Well, it
obvious
seems like he
one.
might have, but he didn't.
Mhm.
I love
That's a really good trivia question.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. And then I was like, oh, right. Like I remembered because it's the first time we actually ever hear Cecily's name.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, right.
So I am just minutes away from the Chain of Iron tour event with Cassie Clare. We have a little countdown going on, 7 minutes to go, and I'm so excited. Cassie and I are going to be doing a dramatic reading from one of the scenes of the book, which is super exciting. Then we're going to be doing some audience Q&A, and I feel like it is just going to be an amazing event. I'm just so happy to like be able to support this amazing release and talk with Cassie, and it's gonna be a great time.
Matthew's utter lack of repentance made it impossible to be angry at him. Cordelia hid a smile. Her first smile of that day. And why, pray tell?
When I had heard what had happened, I went to pay my respects at Curzon Street, but neither of you were there.
James wasn't around?
I suspect he was having a wander. He likes to walk about when he feels troubled. Apparently Uncle Will used to do the same thing, said Matthew. I guess you might be here, but I was afraid if I knocked on the door, your family wouldn't let me see you, not at this hour.
She looked at him puzzled. You could have waited until tomorrow. He sat down on the end of her bed. It was most improper, Cordelia thought. But then again, as Anna had said, she was free to do as she liked, even to let young men in orange spats sit on the end of her bed. I don't think I could have, he said. Oops. Emma's line, sorry, I stepped on it.
It's okay, I don't think I could have.
He said, avoiding her gaze by prodding gently at her covers.
There was something I needed to tell you.
What?
Very quickly he said, I know what it is to be in pain, and not to be able to seek comfort from the ones you love most, nor to be able to share that pain with anyone you know.
What do you mean? He raised his head. His eyes were very green in the dim light.
I mean, he said, this may be a false engagement, but you're truly in love with James.
End of scene.
So I have been mostly working all day, but I did just get some frozen yogurt with Mama Books, so I'm excited to eat it while getting more reading done. But today, the last of my Chain of Gold special editions came in, so I thought I'd give like a little haul of all of the copies of Chain of Gold I currently... Obviously, I've been reading from my early copy that I got from the publisher, but I ordered the Chain of Gold Collector's First Edition from Barnes & Noble. Then I have the Waterstones exclusive edition that is this canvas-bound and gold foil copy of Chain of Iron with all of the death moths on it. Then I have the Fairy Loot edition of Chain of Iron that I believe has Jesse's locket on the cover, and it has these sketched out sprayed edges with the death moths on the spine. And then the back has the tagline of the book, Secrets Consume Even the Truest Love. And finally, I have the Illumicrate edition of Chain of Iron, which also has one of the death moths on it. It is also canvas bound and gold foiled, and it has these yellow sprayed edges. And interestingly enough, this is the first time I think I've ever seen this. Instead of having the title on the spine, it has the same quote, Secrets Consume Even the Truest Love, which, as we know so far, is a great descriptor for Chain of Iron. And to be clear, I did initially buy all of these like with my own money. I just make sure that I get those pre-orders. But Fairy Loot actually reached out to me and offered to send me a copy, and I was like, oh, I actually already bought it. But because they know I'm such a huge fan of Cassie's books and I love supporting Fairy Loot, they were kind enough to refund me and send it anyways. So thank you so much to Fairy Loot for this gorgeous copy of Chain of Iron. Okay, so there may be something like seriously wrong with me because I bought one more copy of Chain of Iron, and it is the UK Tour edition. I bought this off of someone on Depop, and I just really tried very hard and I couldn't fight it. I love that the dust jacket doesn't have the title on it. It is just this gold foil portrait of, I believe, Cordelia, and I think the back is James. And underneath the dust jacket, we have the cover on the naked book, and this is pretty uncommon in America. We mostly do covers on dust jackets. So, like, I wanted this really beautiful blue dust jacket, but I think it's so cool that I have this copy of Chain of Iron, and I think it is the same as the rest of the collector's editions, but I am just obsessed and need to have every edition, and it is very worthwhile, and I'm happy to conclude the Chain of Iron collection. Back to the reading vlog. So, it occurred to me that I have not vlogged in like over a week. I have been ridiculously busy with school and internships, so I haven't been reading a lot. But as I have picked up my book a little bit in between, I have so much to update on. And it is currently 2:30 in the morning, so I'm not going to do a full update right now. I'll catch you up tomorrow, but shit is happening in this book, and I need to talk about it now. So right now I'm on page 508. It has been well over 100 pages since we left off, much to discuss. But right now, James and Cordelia made out again, and it was super wonderful, happy to read it. But then James's bracelet breaks off, the one from Grace, and stuff I haven't vlogged about yet. I was right about that being the way that Grace controls James. So of course, as James is like truly falling in love with Cordelia, that I guess overpowered the bond on the bracelet and broke it. And so then once it breaks, James passes out. I haven't got any updates yet. So Lucy summoned Emmanuel Gast, who is the warlock that did the protection spells on Jesse when he was younger, and Lucy's powers got like real intense, and she was causing lots of pain for him when controlling him. But he said, do you think you are the only one who can command the dead? Where do you think that power comes from? So clearly at some point we're gonna figure out more about like why Lucy's special is so unique and where it comes from. Okay, and then the crazy, don't tell me, wait, hold on. I thought in the moment I just had like a really profound realization, but now I'm like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know how to unpack all of this. So I read the scene where Grace and Christopher are in the lab. They figure out that the Pythos or Pythos has the ability to take runes off of one shadow hunter and put them on someone else. So apparently it seems like Christopher believes that he was speaking to Matthew, not Grace. So somehow Grace disguised herself as Matthew in order to like gain Christopher's trust and get the Pythos in order to use on Jesse. That's what I think she's doing with it. So I'm wondering if Grace's power over men is strong enough to make them believe they're seeing someone different than they are instead of just like compelling them to do things. And what I got all shocked about before is like I thought that maybe it was Tatiana pretending to be Matthew because she has the ability to like possess people, but it was from Grace's perspective, so that would have to mean that like Tatiana was being Grace, being Matthew, and that just doesn't really make sense. I have read so much more than what I am talking about right now, so I am going to try. Oh my god, it's 3 a.m. I am in the zone. It is 3 a.m. I have stuff to do tomorrow, but I cannot put my book down right now because like I feel like this wildness is what I have been waiting for with this book. I've read so much more that I need to talk about, so hopefully tomorrow I will find some time to give like a full update as to what we have missed, but I think I'm finally back in the vlogging spirit. Okay, more big reveals. I cannot keep up. So Lucy has gone to see Jesse's body as her and Grace are like in the process of trying to, you know, put his spirit back in his body, and she finds that all of the runes that are missing on the dead shadow hunters are on Jesse. So someone has been taking the runes from the dead shadow hunters and putting them on Jesse. And who did I just discuss now has a device that can do exactly that? Grace. And remember that overly emotional moment where like I thought for a second that Tatiana was the one who visited Christopher? What if I'm right? What if when Tatiana is possessing someone, they think that they're doing it of their own volition? So Grace would go to see Christopher, and in her perspective, we would still see her doing everything as she wants to do it. But what if it's actually Tatiana possessing Grace, and like Grace is the killer, but like Tatiana is using her body? How am I gonna sleep tonight? I need to know what happens. Y'all, Clare just got me so good. So James, Cordelia, and Matthew see someone walking towards them, and James is like, that's Jesse Blackthorn. And I'm like, oh my god, Jesse's back from the dead. Grace and Lucy did it. And immediately, it's not Jesse, it's Belial using Jesse's appearance. I should have known. Okay, so I'm finally going to do this reading update from like what feels like the past 2 weeks. And I gotta just keep reminding myself that it only feels like a really long time for me, but you're still watching the same video, so it's not that big of a deal for you. I'm going to start at just like part 2, because I feel like around there was the last time that I actually gave thoughts on this book, besides what I read last night. Ooh, okay, so a big scene I missed talking about was kind of like this confrontation between James and Matthew. I feel like when I first started this vlog that I had mentioned that James and Matthew have like always been thick as thieves, haha, because like the Merry Thieves. And it finally happened where Matthew is incredibly frustrated with James for kissing Grace, because Matthew obviously has some feelings for Cordelia, and James kind of snaps back at Matthew and makes a comment about his drinking, which like no one in the cast really addresses. I don't know if I really have many thoughts on it other than it was just intense. I've been loving all of the Thomas and Alistair content we've been getting in Chain of Iron, especially where they are now in the book, where Thomas and Alistair are both kind of being held under suspicion of being the murderer. Alistair is definitely a character who started out very rough and unlikable in the novellas where he was first introduced, but in the series already, he's had a lot of great character growth, and I've really come to appreciate him. Cassie mentioned in one of the events that I was doing with her about how she initially wrote Alistair that way, but as he became more of a main character, she decided that she liked him more. So I've just been enjoying watching Thomas and Alistair be more open with each other and like talking about their sexuality and their feelings for one another and like making out in the sanctuary, all good shit. When Thomas is like, I suppose I'm asking if you're like me, like my heart just shattered. It was just such a genuine, vulnerable moment for him, and I'm really rooting for this couple. There's the scene where all of the characters are fighting these Horus demons, and they recognize that Cordelia is like a paladin of Wayland the Smith, so I'm really interested to get more development on that. A lot has happened with Belial and James, but I love this moment from Lucy when I think she's talking with Magnus. Oh, fun fact from the events, I found out that it is not pronounced Belial, it is Belial, which makes more sense. And she says that she thinks that Belial is interested in James because he's a boy, and he doesn't think that Lucy has any power, which is why he's never shown any interest in her. And of course, I think that is just more Cassie Clare foreshadowing, because she does not write anything with that intention. Did I mention that I was right about the bracelet? Because I'm really proud of myself for that. I've mentioned that I really enjoyed getting to know Grace better, as well as Alistair, and I feel like in Chain of Iron we really see her as her own individual person and like her perspective and view of herself and her life, because the way that we've always kind of seen her is how Tatiana has wanted Grace to present herself to others. So I've enjoyed getting moments of her like saying that she doesn't like using her power because it reminds her of her mother. I know that Grace Blackthorn is a hot topic for Shadowhunter fans right now, but I definitely have a lot of empathy for her. So where I am now, it seems that these murders with Belial's sigil have been calling upon Leviathan, which is another like prince of hell that Belial has an alliance with. This is all so complicated to work out in my head. So based on what I read last night, I am thinking that Tatiana is somehow responsible for these deaths. I think that the magical warlock person that Tatiana has been working with, this really dark power, is possibly Leviathan, and that's where we are. I'm gonna keep reading. Super excited to dive in tonight. And I am definitely going to be more diligent about updating the vlog as I go going forward. So apparently last night I was falling asleep in the last few pages of me reading, and a lot of important stuff went right over my head. So if I'm understanding this correctly, Belial had Emmanuel Gast put some of his essence in Jesse Blackthorn when he was doing the protection spell so that it could anchor Belial to this world, and that is why Jesse died when his first runes were put on him. And because of this connection, Belial has been using Jesse Blackthorn's body as like a puppet to kill all of these victims and make him like a suitable warrior to stand up against Cortana so that Belial doesn't die. Okay, I think I need to keep reading to make sure I'm getting this all right. There are so many twists going on in the last like quarter of this book. I cannot keep up. There have just been so many instances of people who look like other people causing chaos. And like, this is a reason why the shapeshifting rune in Shadowhunters was never a good idea. Apparently, Lilith herself has arrived, not a character I was expecting to see again, and she has been pretending to be like Magnus and the fairy that Cordelia was with before, and I just can't keep up. Alrighty, so it is currently 3 o'clock in the morning and I am sitting down to finish Chain of Iron. It is Thursday, and on Thursday I have a late night study group with my friends that usually doesn't finish up until like 1 or 2 a.m. So I just got like ready for bed and settled in, and I am finishing this book. I am on page 608 and I am 50 pages from finishing Chain of Iron. Can you see why I'm staying up past 3 o'clock in the morning to finish it? I read some really important things like Cordelia telling the Merry Thieves that she is Lilith's paladin, and I'm just so proud of her for being open and vulnerable, because like, this book is filled with so many secrets and miscommunication, and so when Cassie writes characters that are being honest, authentic, and genuine, it just warms my heart. And I had kind of forgotten how in Chain of Gold, Cordelia really felt like all of these people didn't consider her a friend as much as she did them, and to have them all confirm that like they're in this together and that she's not alone, it was just so wonderful. And the other important thing I read that I wish I had vlogged my reaction in the moment because it was wild, was that Lucy has brought Jesse back from the dead. Like I said before, I knew that Jesse was coming back at some point, so it wasn't a shock to me, but I definitely didn't expect that it would be Lucy with like the super powerful ability to literally like not only talk to the dead and compel the dead, but also bring them back to life. It's incredible and scary at the same time, but I'm also just so happy that the two of them can be together in like a more real way. But it's a Cassandra Clare series, so I'm just terrified that it's going to break my heart before it gets better. Speaking of, I've been talking with my friend Sejr from Sejr Without an H, who has already finished Chain of Iron, and we've kind of just been going back and forth about how wild things have been, and she is definitely preparing me for this wild, emotional cliffhanger, heart-wrenching ending that I've heard from all my friends and I've heard from Cassie herself. So I'm just like very nervous, but also eager to read and find out what happens. So I have some essentials that make me totally ready to finish Chain of Iron. First up, I have my book darts, which if you've noticed maybe in my time lapses, me putting them on the pages, they're essentially page flags that don't stick out, and they're made of metal. And I really love using them. They're so helpful in keeping track of the most important scenes and lines to me. I have some water because we have to stay hydrated. And it's late, so I probably shouldn't eat, but I feel like because I'm about to finish Chain of Iron, I need some emotional support chocolate. And this was actually sent to me by my friend Kat, who writes for the TMI source, and it is a really amazing website for like all Shadowhunter news. It is like a must go to. And she sent it to me with a copy of The Course of True Love and First Dates, which is a novella from the Bane Chronicles, but a few of them were released in this like adorable singular storybook format, and I'm just really excited to have it and add it to my collection. So thank you, Kat, for the book. And thank you for this chocolate that I hope is going to get me through this wild ending. And finally, I do not really cry at books that frequently. I used to as a teen, but it takes like a lot for me to even just tear up a little bit. I like never bawl while reading, but I will admit I did bring a new box of tissues into my room just in case, because I don't know, I just love these characters so much and I have no clue what could happen that has shook all of my friends. Oh my god, okay, we're gonna finish Chain of Iron. Okay, really quick, I don't know why I haven't done this earlier, but if you didn't know, Cassandra Clare actually has a Spotify account and she makes playlists of all of the songs that she listens to when she writes books. So there is a Chain of Iron playlist and I'm just like, why didn't I start listening to this earlier? Definitely the perfect way to finish off the book though. Something I did not realize about Cordelia being Lilith's paladin now is that every time she picks up a sword, it sort of like calls Lilith. And she's supposed to become parabatized with Lucy and like train together. And this is a big problem. This is gonna end badly. This is gonna end really badly. No. Nope. James just admitted to himself that he really loves Cordelia. And Cordelia is like, no, James, we can't do this. This is a fake marriage. And James is like, no, I've never felt about Grace the way that I feel about you, which could definitely be taken negatively. And then there's a knock on the door. I'm not ready to finish this book. And I think that James just figured out, so Grace just showed up and James realizes the second that she hugs him that he does not love her the way that he used to anymore. And I think he figured out immediately that she had enchanted the bracelet. Oh my god. Wait, I need to be using book darts. I'm too invested in the reading. Oh. Yes, this song. Guys, this playlist is so good. I low-key cannot believe that James is confronting Grace about the bracelet right now, though. No. I think Cordelia saw James and Grace together and combined with the last thing he said about not feeling about her the way he feels about Grace, I can't handle this. But also that scene between Grace and James where he is just like giving her everything that she deserves because of the way that she's manipulated him and changed who he is as a person for so much of his life. I truly believe that is one of my favorite literary scenes I have ever read in my life. It is just so raw with emotion and like beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time because like my heart aches for James, but also I feel bad for Grace. I do. I am in no way excusing what she has done because she's done it consciously as much as she has felt trapped to do so. But I can't help but empathize with this girl that felt like she had no other choice, and it is so clear that she actually feels terrible about it. Oh my gosh, I have like 30 pages left of what is going to happen in here. I don't know why I'm sitting here holding on to hope that the problems going on in this book right now are going to be resolved in the last 20 pages, because there's no way it's going to happen. They're just going to get worse. So I am a hard Cordelia shipper. I love the relationship between Matthew and Cordelia. and like it's fine that Matthew has a little unrequited love for Cordelia, but I just do not want to see them together. I want them to stay great platonic friends because I think it's so powerful, and I don't want another romance to be introduced at this point, but I feel like that's what's coming. I'm hurting. I stand by what I said, but I am still hurting. Oh my god, my eyes are starting to get teary. Oh my god. So Matthew told Cordelia that he loves her, again, so honestly and genuinely, and he asks Cordelia to come to Paris with him because she's so hurt by thinking that James is still in love with Grace. And Cordelia agrees to go, but her condition is that Matthew cannot drink. Oh my god, this is gonna happen, and it's gonna be so much emotional growth from the both of them. But she's gonna go away, and James isn't going to be able to tell her that he really loves her. And oh my god, this is like Clockwork Prince all over again. Also, this playlist is really amplifying the emotions. I highly recommend y'all listen to it. Oh my god, and I don't even like this song, but it's Paris by the Chainsmokers as they're talking about Paris. Synchronicity, man. I can't believe this is happening. Oh my god, there's a letter. I physically don't think I can read this. I only have the epilogue left, and I am like a ball of emotions right now. And the epilogue follows Tatiana Blackthorn, and I am like this is just not the vibe. I think I want to end the book off. Like, I'm feeling so sad and depressed and heartbroken, and what I really want the epilogue to be is like a very short scene of Matthew and Cordelia in Paris, so I understand leaving it off as them going. Like, I just know some absolutely wild shit with Tatiana and Belial is about to happen, and I just don't think I'm ready for this mood switch. Okay, so I just finished Chain of Iron. Two things. First, I don't really like the way that Belial says your son performed his part excellently, because my understanding was that like Jesse was just kind of a puppet, so I don't know if that's what Belial is referring to, or if he's saying that like Jesse was consciously doing some of that stuff, which I really hope is not the case. But also, in the last few sentences, Tatiana gives him the key to the Iron Tombs. So I have no clue what that is. That's a very new thing, but I'm excited to find out in the last book. So yeah, I'm not too crazy about the tone shift from the epilogue. I feel like I really would have wanted it to end where it did and to have me just like sit in this pain. But man, I am hurting. That was such an intense ending. I feel like the last like 200 pages were just absolute insanity. My overall thought on Chain of Iron is it was a little bit too character-based for my taste in the beginning. I really love the characters of Chain of Iron. It's my favorite part, but I just feel like I would have liked more plot throughout the beginning other than these like sporadic different killings and trying to bring Jesse Blackthorn to life. I feel like the ending just had so much more action and emotional impact than what we went through in the beginning of the book. Still an absolutely amazing book. I'm definitely giving it, I think 4.5 out of 5 stars is my final rating, but everything about this ending was perfect. Cassie is so talented. I just never would have expected Cordelia and Matthew running off together, and I know it is just going to be such a heavy third and final conclusion. But wow, what an amazing journey. It is 4 o'clock in the morning and I just finished Chain of Iron. As you can probably guess, Chain of Iron is of course now like my top favorite book of the year so far, and I'm just obsessed with it. I can't believe that Cassie did all of these things, and we're getting to the point where I'm just rambling, so I think that's time to end this vlog. Thank you all so much for coming on this journey with me. This was such a special book and such a special reading vlog, and I really enjoyed my time filming it. So I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on Chain of Iron. What scenes did we both flip out over? What were your favorite parts, your least favorite parts? I am so curious to know. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for a new one. Bye!